Hey, what's good? Good Sunday. Hello, welcome. It's Tom. It's Taco. Today is eUnited Invitational. Yesterday we had some fun. We got to hang out with an old friend, Gretchen. How you doing?
Oh, Gretchen's a fantastic guy. I had a great day yesterday getting to team with him. It was a wonderful experience. But more importantly, it's about the pros' experience here today as they face up with a little bit more, I think, on their level of competition type of gameplay going on.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some real Smite today. We got 4 teams all split up with different squads than you're used to seeing during the regular season because it's fun time. But it's business soon in the fall split, and it's all going to wind up at HRX. You want to be there too. hi-rez.com. Grab your tickets. It's November 16th through the 18th.
And of course, if you want to have a chance to make some new friends or even get to meet up with a couple of familiar faces, everybody's always pretty welcoming, and the event's taking place in a really awesome part of Atlanta. So you want to make sure that you're going to be there because you do not want to miss out on the opportunity to see some of the games that we're going to have. And not only that, but a lot of the stuff that could be happening in Atlanta also.
Yeah, I mean, if you're about me, if you're like me, you're about the after party, you're about the nightlife, you want to hit that up to $50. hi-rez HRX afterparty.eventbrite.com. You can land that there. Hit me up on Twitter or whoever, and we'll send you the right direction as well. This is a lot of fun. This is, this is where it all happens.
And that's true kickback moments, pretty much, because everybody finally has a chance to really just wind down from all the calamity that can take place throughout the entirety of a weekend of competition, and it's always just a really fun time.
Yeah, speaking of weekend of competition, that's what we got going on right here. We got some of the best working together. Juggernauts and Minotaurs, that's going to be what we're seeing first. It's PolarBearMike and CaptainTwig's team. Then later on, Minotaurs and Titans will take on each other. And then, of course, whoever wins, we meet in the middle. No double elimination, no extra matches, no nonsense. Just he who wins goes on.
Just a couple of best of threes, and whoever comes out on top is going to find themselves in that finals. And starting things off with Juggernauts and Minotaurs, I think that this is going to be one side of the bracket pitted against the other as far as the public eye is concerned, because I don't think that people are really giving as much benefit of the doubt towards Twig's team's success as they probably should be.
Yeah. Certainly a couple of different opinions going on as far as the different teams are concerned. But one thing I do want to mention about, honestly, both of these teams is that we spoke to them and they said, look, this is the first time we're playing on this patch, right? All the other games were in a different world. So some people expect kind of like troll games here. We're going to see like real Smite. So I'm kind of excited to see what's going on there. Taco was mentioning CaptainTwig's team not getting the respect they deserve. They're going to be playing today, and we spoke to their opponents. Let's see what the Juggernauts have to say.
We're here with the Juggernauts now. Good morning, and you ready to play, first of all, I guess is my first question.
Yeah, easy games.
Of course. Born ready.
What kind of strategies are you going to be bringing in? This is more of a lighthearted event. You don't have to take it super seriously. What's the game plan?
Play better than them and make them look stupid. Yeah, I think try to play really aggressive in the Chulainn. That's the plan we have.
Now, obviously, like Charlie says, it's a little bit more lighthearted, but from what I'm hearing about all the teams here, everyone's really playing to win because everyone wants to prove that they're actually the better players overall. Mike, you drafted this team. Do you think you came out on top?
Yeah, I joked about it in the draft show, but from the start, I pretty much knew I wanted to take Screammmmm and Hurry, and they were stupid enough to let me get the dig side lane boys, so easy games.
You were giving everyone a bunch of crap about picking up Hurriwind at the end there, but now you're having a change of heart. I like it. So, Arkkyl, you're going up against Snoopy first. You've never played against him, and how is that going to feel for you?
I actually did play once against him. I know he's a really good player, but I feel like he's maybe washed up these days, so we're going to see.
God damn.
Sorry, I lost words there. That's unusual for me. Final question for today. Anything spicy, anything exciting we could look forward to in terms of your picks, your bans, or even your choice in gameplay?
Maybe a little something. Probably not from me because I'm a meta slave, but we'll see.
Well, good luck today. Hopefully we'll talk to you later on. It'll be after a winning victory.
Thanks, guys.
Hello, welcome back to the desk here. And so Arkkyl, tossing out some words there.
Arkkyl, that is the most I have ever seen Arkkyl say about any dual lane opponent that he's had to go up against. And I think that's what makes things really exciting to be here because you know that there's a level of fun that these pros are handling whenever they're coming into these sort of competitions, but they are taking it still as a business perspective, and it's something that nobody wants to come out as the loser.
Exactly. And look, it's interesting because like when you're on your professional team and representing, the brand or whatever, it's hard to talk smack because then if you lose, it makes your whole team look bad. This is like, the individuals coming together. So you're getting a little bit more of that, I'm better than you. And if I happen to lose, well, the Minotaurs are going to look bad. The Juggernauts, like it's not a big deal. So a little bit more honesty, I think, behind the players, and maybe some honesty in the next interview. We spoke to the Minotaurs. Ready, set, go.
We're live here in the Minotaurs, ready for the eUnited Invitational. Snoopy and Venenu. Snoopy, first of all, welcome to the studio. How you finding it? It's your first time here.
I'm finding it great. It seems really nice. It's really professional, and I'm loving what they did with the place. And it's a nice facelift for what's going on here at Skillshot.
So pros versus Skillshot yesterday. What have you learned from yesterday, obviously from us, that you're going to take to the battlefield?
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do exactly the opposite
Yeah.
of what the hi-rez people did, and that's going to be our game plan.
Yeah, like winning. Yeah.
Sure. So no keyboard focuses or anything like that. That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, if you want to, you can go hit them with.
No, I can't do that anymore. I'm competitively banned now, just so you know.
That's understandable.
So, Snoopy, today you take on Arkkyl in lane. Have you guys faced off against each other before?
No, I've never played against Arkkyl before.
Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I actually am. I know he's a really good player, and I have a lot of respect for him. People always kind of say that he's really consistent and like a strong player and a strong individual, so I want to be able to like test my skills against him and maybe throw him for a little bit of a loop with some of the picks we're going, but we'll see when the games start.
So once you beat Arkkyl and his team, what is the next team that you guys are thinking about facing?
I mean, I think we just win if we beat them, right? Like,
Yeah.
That's the only good team, probably.
Yeah, I don't even know the names of the other ones. What's the point?
Really? So if you make finals, you think you just smooth sailing?
Yeah.
That's amazing. But only for you, obviously, gets face off against Hurriwind. You've done that a few times throughout your career already. How you feeling going into today?
I'm pretty confident. We have like a real team. They don't have a real team. Like they have Screammmmm. Like we have CaptainTwig. I mean, yeah.
All right, then. Well, good luck today. Hopefully, we get to interview you later on after a winning victory.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Snoopy on the wrong end of that one. Snoopy comes through and he's like, man, much respect to the opposition. Really hope he has a good game, and I'm just a little bit better. And Arkkyl comes in and goes,
Get good.
yeah, you suck, bud. I kind of love it. And now I kind of want to see Snoopy. Usually I'm an Arkkyl fan, but now I kind of want to see Snoopy. I want to see him get the solo.
I'm also going to keep it real here for a second. Venenu, you better check yourself because last I saw, you weren't even in that match because we didn't want to embarrass you, buddy.
She's real. She's right. She's true. She's correct. Juggernauts, Minotaurs. Realistically speaking, these teams are both, star-studded, packed full of everything. Snoopy and Venenu on the same team is going to be a little bit scary. And then across the way, you've got some intelligent people as well. CaptainTwig going to be the captain of the Minotaurs. How are you feeling about the leadership here? CaptainTwig behind the Minotaurs and PolarBearMike on the other side.
I think that CaptainTwig likes to keep it with a little bit of a looser team environment. He clearly loves when his team is just feeling a little bit more in the moment and just feeling really relaxed. But I also still firmly believe that Twig is great as far as playing utility playstyles are concerned. And whenever his god picks are able to so heavily cater towards any fair pairing on the team, because if you want to focus your mid lane, sure, that's fine. If you want to look for out lane pressure, then Twig can probably accomplish that. It's just part of being a versatile player and making sure that your mechanics can back up your diversity when it comes to god choices.
Yeah, and adding to that diversity, you've got variety here, no pun intended. He certainly has a very big god pool that he can do a lot of crazy things with. First time we're seeing the pros play on one of these on the post-mid-season patch, so Najah with that new passive, not going to be seeing any play. Giannis, I think, kind of a classic ban here as well. The game may change, but the ability to walk through walls will always be relevant.
Can't say that I'm disagreeing with the first couple of bans. I think that Minotaurs don't want to have to worry about the constant disengagement or just engaging threats that Giannis can provide with that through space and time. Juggernauts, also same sort of mentality here. Turnabog just way too easily able to maneuver across one side of the map to the other, and it's just such a pain whenever you're about to be winning a team fight, you're right on the cusp of victory, and then all of a sudden you've got this Chernobog just ripping through your entire team.
Yeah, it's really, really rough. We've seen teams kind of counteract it with Artemis and characters like that, but not going to be the case here. Baron Samedi going to be banned out here, so the first time we're able to see him played, he won't be. And the first pick, Athena, comes out. Something I want to bring up about the Voodoo Mage over there is everybody talking about him not in the mid lane. He's a solo laner or a support, depending on who you ask. He seems to have a lot of control over the battlefield, but not necessarily the damage.
It depends really on which direction you want to take it, because if you are looking to put Baron, for instance, in the solo lane, he does feel a little bit more like a solo laner than a mid laner, according to a lot of the pros here.
Right.
And they say that highly because of the fact that he has so much control, like you were just talking about, with his ultimate and even a lot of the slows and roots due to the snakes. It's just too problematic and easily provide way too much crowd control that no team wants to try and handle in a team fight.
Yeah, I mean, the healing, the movement speed, it's all nuts. Athena, that movement speed's pretty nuts. Global. Artemis, not quite global, but certainly I think everybody rushes to the Chernobog, and then when he gets banned out, everybody rushes to the Artemis. And then once those two characters are selected, there's kind of this open world when it comes to the Hunters. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Artie and Serket will be selected here, and I do like this combination. Remember, Artemis got her passive changed.
And Minotaurs might have lost out on the global factor, but they still have plenty of mobility being introduced with the Serket. I also like that the taunts can kind of just match each other. If the Athena is a little bit too reckless, dashing forward, then Serket can easily throw her out of position with that Cobra's Kiss. So it just makes Juggernauts have to play a little bit more mindful of what's actually happening on the map.
The Assassin Robin will be selected here next to Ullr. Now, Ullr just got buffed, but that's not this patch. So he is still regular old Ullr, but regular old Ullr is certainly not a bad thing.
But this is exciting because this is exactly what you want to see from Juggernauts. Arkkyl was just talking about how he knows what Snoopy is like, and he wants to pose a threat to him and challenge him there in the duo lane. What better got to do that with than Ullr, the original 1v1?
That is very, very true. I love the Khepri pick here too as well, Taco. Robin, character that wants to dive, and one of the best ways to punish dive characters, interestingly enough, is Khepri, because you dive, you expend all your resources, and then homie gets revived and you have to go back to base or do something, and it was all for nothing. So I really like Khepri against these all-in strategies.
I think that the Khepri was a smart pickup for the Minotaurs because it also allows them to have a little bit more dive potential while constantly keeping Juggernauts kind of on the edge there, not really certain as to whether they should try and continue the fight or just break it off and look for a separate engage. I do think that there are concerns both ways, because if the Khepri is thrown out of position by an Athena taunt and you're not able to get that res off in time, that revive is a huge part of the counterplay potential within compositions that opt for this Khepri, and without that counterplay opportunity,
what are you doing?
Run some pretty difficult decisions to make.
Yeah, absolutely. You need the opportunity to be able to cast that. Khepri with beads might be something a little bit interesting depending on how far down the rabbit hole of crowd control Juggernauts decide to go down. Minotaurs are going to keep that at a distance, going to ban out the Sobek, and want to make sure that they don't have to deal with the Thoth guy. The Morgan banned out, and I think that's just like, hey, they have Venenu.
That is 100% the anti-Venenu pick right there, or ban, I should say, because he's not going to have a chance to play that one any longer. Agni's still up on the table. I do feel as though the space control could be nice for Minotaurs. While they have some good burst damage, they don't necessarily have a whole lot of control between the Serket and the Artemis. You need a little bit more setup, and that's exactly what they're trying to bring with the God of War, Ares.
Yeah, Ares. Recently winning the Tier 5, right? Certainly a big deal. You know who I would have preferred.
Now, it doesn't matter who you prefer.
Ganesh.
Ares is clearly superior.
Ganesh. Is that him in real life? Ares. You know, everybody hates that.
Maybe because it doesn't sound like Ganesh. But I, you know what though? I do have to say I completely respect your dedication to it.
I respect
it. Does
Ganesh.
improve every time.
Thank you. That's
by
all
at least 1%.
That's all I want. I'm at 4%.
After like 100 days, so you give it a few months and you've got exactly what we're looking for.
You heard it, chat.
can make the voice
100
back
days.
yourself.
100 days of me speaking like Ganesh. Get ready for it. Ares, one of Auror's specialties, is going to be the god of choice for the support player. Meanwhile, on the other side, Juggernauts going to go, ooh, the Robin. Or, excuse me, the Raijin. The Robin already selected there. I love Raijin. I think that Raijin is a lot of fun. I think he's fun to watch. He's a big, noisy character and like takes up a lot of space, which is always interesting for a mage. But, I mean, at the gameplay level, he's got a ton of control, a ton of damage as well.
What I really like about this Raijin pick is the turn and burn that it could introduce to the Juggernauts composition. I think that they are certainly feeling a little bit pressured between the Ares pickup from Minotaurs and the Khepri to want to make sure they don't get caught out of position with those two gods. And I think Raijin, if Ares tries to go in for that no escape ultimate, could possibly just blow Ares up before he even has a chance to really even finish pooling from that ultimate. And so that could be a really strong outplay opportunity there for the Juggernauts that they can create, and Minotaurs just doubling down with this survivability comp.
Yeah. The Hell, we saw this pick kind of yesterday, but I mean, yesterday really doesn't count to me. Hell is going to be the mid lane of choice here for the Minotaurs, unless they put Artemis there and run Hell in the duo. But I think there's going to be a Hell mid. I like her in the middle lane. Very interesting. The cleanse is going to be a big deal versus the Athena, I think.
The cleanse, if you can get the timing right, but you never know if Athena's going to look for the taunt onto yourself or if she's going to try and prioritize other members of your team. Typically, I think at pro level play, they try to look for those taunts that are going to pull in at least 2 to 3 members, but when that's not always an opportunity, picks are just as good.
Yeah, no, the battlefield looks about even here. Who's going to win? Juggernauts or Minotaurs? Minters. I like the abbreviation.
The mints.
The mints. It looks like the gents versus the mints. You like that?
I can see it.
Yeah, you see it.
I respect it.
Yeah. The Jugger gents.
No, that just okay. You lost me there.
No, the Jugger gents.
No.
It's like giant like rock people in suits.
I feel like we are straying even further and further away from where we should be.
So a Juggernaut versus a Minotaur. Who wins?
With these two compositions, I am leaning a little bit more towards the Minotaurs, just because I think that theirs is a lot more spammy. They have a lot more re-engage opportunities, I feel, because if the Ares, this is all assuming that Deathwalker is going to land his Ares chains.
Sure.
I am also partially assuming that Deathwalker will not be starting by himself with this Ares, if it is an Ares solo, and in fact, he might even possibly have the Khepri there assisting him.
Well, we'll see. We're going to go right into it. On the call is Aggro, not Aggression. Where'd that guy go? It's Aggro and Finch.
Thanks, Tom and Taco. It is indeed Finch and Aggro here as they move into Game 1. Juggernauts up against the Minotaurs. And for me, Ryan, on this one, I mean, there's got to be a lot of eyes on Deathwalker on this Hell over in the solo lane. We say it all the time when Hell's here. If she's able to be comfortable and get to that mid to late game, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, and that's going to be tough. I mean, against the new Robin, the true assassin Robin, that's going to be a tall task. But you might be looking at this Hell, but how could you not look at this Khepri ADC out of Snoopy? I was hanging out with Snoopy and PBM and a bunch of people yesterday, and Snoopy was like, yeah, me and Aror have something planned. And that's when you know that there's going to be some absolute nonsense. Because if Auror's got something weird planned, he already wants to play something weird as is.
PolarBearMike is going to come up and try and stop them on this purple buff, but to no avail. They'll instead move over towards that red buff. But no, I mean, this is the kind of thing that you want when Auror's on your team, as Hurriwind gets the better of Venenu on the Artemis in mid. Very good poke coming out, but not enough for any kind of kill. But this is what you want when you have someone like Aror on your squad, right? You want them to be able to do something kind of a little janky over there in that duo lane. And obviously, we know these guys have a reason for this pick and that they're going to be able to execute on it, but you expect them to be able to come out of the woodworks.
Yeah, I do think that there's some potential here for... This is a kill lane. Make no mistake about it. As a good Cobra's Kiss there from CaptainTwig. Saves his life, potentially, up against Scream's Robin. I think there is some serious kill potential here with this lane, and even some invade potential as they're trying to get the red.
This could be a problem. Scream, Hurriwind, and PolarBearMike are all here trying to lock him down. Snoopy takes a ton of poke, but Venenu and CaptainTwig now coming in support. No. They are going to suppress the insolent. Hurriwind falls for first blood. Jumping in is Arkkyl with the knockup, but can he find blood in return?
Could be, potentially, but that Impale didn't do a lot of good for them. PBM does knock down Twig.
Venenu gets taunted back in. Beads are there, but Scream gonna put down his teammate in the mid lane. Minotaurs get first blood, but they're gonna lose a couple in response.
Arkkyl can't find the impale into the wall, so it's just damage onto Aror, who will safely make it back to lane. An aggressive call, though, from the Ares and the Snoopy to try, or from Ares and the Khepri to try and go for that buff invade, and they do end up getting, I feel like, very much punished for it. PolarBearMike makes a big difference with the taunt, but I might have to hold that thought as Deathwalker's in a little bit of trouble with Scream and Variety here.
Don't think there's a lot of CC available right now for either of these two, and Deathwalker could probably just waltz out of there with that extra movement speed, and indeed he can. Those heals good enough, at least for the moment, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Scream on this right-hand side. And gotta say, I mean, you knew if you were familiar with these players, you knew the Minotaurs were going to be the team that had the most fun with their picks, so to say, that would be the most willing to have some fun here with their selection. But why Variety's playing Xingqian? Like, he plays Guardian solo every day of the week. Like, couldn't he done something different?
Now Variety's like, we're here to win. And PolarBearMike gets pulled back in by Snoopy with CaptainTwig being here. He might be in a little bit of trouble, but Mike's going to be patient, wait, use the dash. Venenu considering rotating over as well, but in the end, there's no more fighting there. PolarBearMike and Arkkyl just comes back towards the lane, but I'm right there with you. Variety, it feels like trying to get that W with the Xingqian, right?
By the way, that was a sick impale right there by Arkkyl because it interrupted CaptainTwig's Cobra's Kiss. Actually put it on cooldown right before the first projectile even came out. Arkkyl, on her is a god that, if you just watched the most recent update show, got a little bit of a buff because he hasn't seen a lot of play, not particularly popular, you know, all those sorts of things. But Arkkyl has been an insane on her for a long time. That's kind of the god that he stormed onto the scene with under Sanguine Esports back in the day. This is the kind of the one in the group stages that everyone was like, oh man, this guy can really play. And so I'm always excited to get a chance to see Arkkyl whip out the on her.
Yeah, he's looking very comfortable on it so far. He's the one that jumped in on that fight after Hurriwind took that spill, and at least able to help the team reclaim a couple lives on the back end of it. So it is going to be Juggernauts out in front kill-wise, but if we take a look at the gold, it's still relatively even there. Experience, maybe a slight advantage towards Juggernaut, but so it's not as if that early fight really has given any big advantage to one team or the other. I mean, even though they're on different squads than normal, everyone still looks comfortable to me. No one's flustered by that early start or the different things that Minotaurs are trying out here. Everyone definitely still seems relaxed.
This isn't quite like a really good ranked game or anything like that. I think it's still a level above that. You know, I mean, it's here on LAN. These are not just pro players, but the best of the best of the pro players. So you expect it to be pretty clean across the board. There won't be the same insane level strategies just because you don't have the practice under your belt with these teammates, but certainly these guys, as much as they want to have fun, they also do want to win, and they feel like they can win with this double Guardian ADC.
Two-man taunt from PBM. Arkkyl is going to drop the Desert Fury Aurora. That was all she wrote. The taunt into the on her, just a little bit too strong. Snoopy, nothing can do, not level 5 yet.
Plus that upgraded Sunder from PBM, taking a page out of Kalas's book with the Athena, picking that up right away at level 1, but Arkyl's leap is down now, and with CaptainTwig coming over, look for the buff steal. Didn't get that, but he's probably going to get Arkkyl here.
Especially without the impale available to him, Twig will indeed find that kill. Meanwhile, PolarBearMike just going to rotate over towards red buff, has the Defender of Olympus out, and I think that's the right call because he was certainly in some trouble with that positioning. Meanwhile, Deathwalker just trying to secure his own blue, and looks like not going to be happening. Variety picks that one up.
Scream tried to invade the enemy red, but was not successful in that. Did manage to poke out CaptainTwig, and might be looking for a little bit more. Twig doesn't have Warrior Tab on. He's got Talaria here, so he's a little bit faster than Scream, but doesn't pack quite as much of a punch.
Is able to wiggle right on out of there. I thought for a moment Twig was considering trying to take that fight despite the HP disadvantage, but no, he's just trying to find an avenue to get back towards lane. In fact, he's looking to try and come into the enemy jungle yet again. I mean, this is kind of what Twig does. It feels like even when he might be a little bit behind or might have taken some poke, he's trying to be in your jungle, stealing your farm. No difference here.
This is the CaptainTwig MO for sure, and he's going to actually back right as those can. Oh no, actually stop the back because there's action in the mid lane. Hurriwind able to take down Venenu. Scream's ultimate was used as well as his beads in response to that Caledonian boar.
Not going to have any way out. Scream is trying to come in and even up, or at least find one more kill. Twig, though, just barely jumps back out. Had Raiju on him. So far, that Hurriwind damage a little bit too strong for him in the mid lane, so they had to retreat. But 4-2 now in Juggernaut's favor. They've come out in this early game just a little bit on top. despite this unique start coming out from Minotaurs, when are they expecting for this Khepri Ares really to be at its strongest? Is it something where they're giving up the early? Is it just you want 2 Guardians late? I mean,
I think they really wanted to get off to a better start in the early game. Now, if they get to the hyper late, I mean, everyone being level 20, you've got a Hell and an Artemis who get protection from 2 Guardians, and that will be very potent. There's no doubt about that. But I really do think this duo lane needed to get off to a cheesy early kill, something like that, but it ended up not working out for them because they got first blood, yes, but lost 2 kills in response, and Arkkyl has been way ahead of Snoopy ever since. Just the clear from the on her is just so much better.
UBM does find one taunt onto Snoopy. Actually, a really good pillar there. That's going to stop that whole thing right in its tracks. They want to come back towards the red buff, but Venenu is here now. Hurriwind gets the Defender of Olympus as he boxes out with Aror. Thunder Crash as well, but he does end up getting revived, so he'll survive. Hurriwind now in some trouble, but Arkkyl deletes Twig while he's on top of him, and Juggernauts are not done yet. They want to push forward.
Great ult by Snoopy, but just better play by Arkkyl in that spot. Red buff goes down for the Juggernauts, and they're looking for Venenu, who's got to use his ultimate just for CC immunity.
That's good. It does slow them down a little bit. Aror looking for some chains on the PolarBearMike. Has Venenu here to bring in the slow over the top if Snoopy can land a root, but it looks like they don't have it. PolarBearMike's out, but Scream's not. He wants to go back in with the Mystic Rush. He gets pulled back in by the bug, puts the hands onto Aror. Now looking for Snoopy overhead kick through the root. Sprint's gonna get him out.
Yeah, Scream will not get out from this, I don't think. Twig very, very close by. Venenu will do the dirty work and get some revenge on his jungler to get that kill for the Minotaurs. Scream just using that new assassin type that Robin has to use that extra little bit of movement speed, that the passive now getting movement speed on it as well. PBM should be dead to rights in this spot.
Yes, very likely dead. He is able to dash out, though. The taunt was really good. Arkkyl had the impale as well. Now Twig in some trouble, avoids some of the Tycho drums, so he can escape. Now Deathwalker is left in the bad spot of town. He has the Aegis available. Arkkyl can't find the shots. The heal is allowing him to juke through the damage. Now Deathwalker trades his life out. Arkkyl falls, but Hurriwind gets the trade.
Yeah, that was the trouble right there. And the fact that Twig escapes that as well, you know Hurry's going to be kicking himself a little bit. The Tycho drums couldn't decide if he wanted to try and pull Twig back in or if he was trying to use it for the damage. Twig did use the bead, so I wonder if that last shot was intended to be a taunt in, and CaptainTwig just used the beads to prevent that from happening. Because I'm not sure that one more damage shot would have really done the job there for Hurriwind.
It was definitely close. I mean, towards the beginning of that, I believe PolarBearMike made it out of there just barely as well, but we don't have time because now Venenu's in a little bit of trouble. They do bring out the overhead kick to try and bring him down, and they'll find the kill there. Twig gonna have to retreat. Yet again, Venenu having a little bit of trouble there in the mid lane. 1-3-1 on this Artemis. They've done a good job trying to sit on him, it feels like.
Yeah, this has been definitely the strategy here for Juggernauts. They know, I mean, they've got PBM and Scream. They know what it's like, what Venenu likes to do and what he can struggle with at times. And going for a very immobile mid laner like Artemis can be a problem. Gold Fury kind of immobile as well, but still managed to juke some shots from Arkkyl there. Doesn't matter. Juggernaut still managed to secure the first Gold Fury of the game. And all of a sudden, they're up by a pretty sizable margin.
Yeah, about 2,500 gold, nearly 3,000 experience as well. A little bit fortunate, really, that Minotaurs couldn't get in to find any space there with the Desert Fury being a little bit off the mark. Now, of course, Juggernauts go for it because they get the kill on the Venenu. They force some of Minotaurs back. They knew they had some space. And it all ends up working out in their favor. But can Minotaurs make any kind of recovery? They've got the stopgap with the Hell that they can always fall back on. Artemis is excellent late, even with the new passive. But is it going to be enough as Variety in some trouble? Has to drop the Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and should make it out.
Yeah, actually baited out CaptainTwig's ultimate there in that spot as well. So that's a fine bait by Variety. He's certainly fine. He will lose a couple minion waves because he was just coming back to base. So he actually loses out on a pretty sizable chunk of farm, but Serket ultimate at this point in the game is so deadly that I think that's still a worthwhile trade, knowing that Scream and PBM will be here to soak up that experience and make sure he doesn't lose that tier 1 tower for being aggressed on in that spot.
I'm noticing, though, Juggernauts have to pay a lot of respect towards this magical damage. At least it feels like it. With the Pestilence coming out from Variety early on, PolarBearMike going into the Genjis. I mean, this could potentially create some space for Twig and Venenu to do some damage early since they have to respond, I feel like, to these two Guardians.
Well, that's the thing. Because of the focus onto Venenu in this game, that's why PBM's able to go for the Genji's guard, because he knows the Artemis is very far behind. I mean, Ven only has 9 stacks on the Devo gloves. He just hit double digits in levels, and he's just now matched PBM in levels. So the fact that he can build into this magical defense, not really worry about the Artemis damage quite yet. Next item, he can go for some physical defense and still be A-OK. Twig, you can't really itemize against Serket anyways because the Prot Shred and the true damage, so you're not really that worried about it. You just kind of got to build some health and hope it works.
It's working out for him. Got to recognize the state of the game as Variety has Twig a little bit caught out on the right-hand side of the map, but not enough potential to solo him outright. Snoopy could be in some trouble, though. Scream has been quite adventurous on the Chaos side of the map. Has him rooted. Hurriwind's going to come in with the Thunder Crash as well, forced to drop the Scarab's Blessing on top of himself. Aror now low, but Venenu will get the trade onto Arkkyl and drop the boar. Deathwalker still just barely clinging to life. Aegis gets him through Defender of Olympus and reach not enough, but PolarBearMike dashes in, and it's not enough. He gets rooted out.
Baited by the healer. Ven gets one. Hurry going to put him down, but Hurriwind is going to be on the run, and he's not getting away from this hell for Deathwalker. Chasing the healer under a tier 2 tower, likely not going to work out for you most of the time, and PBM learns that lesson the hard way. This is where it happens, man. I mean, you get to the mid game, the late game, with a hell that has been able to free farm for the first 12 minutes of the game. How are you going to be able to combat that?
The first overstep that we've seen here from the Juggernauts and Minotaurs capitalized nicely. Variety just barely making it out, but they should be able to grab this tier 1 tower. They grabbed 4 kills for themselves and only had to give up 2 in that last exchange, and they were very far into the jungle of the Minotaurs there. Scream able to wrap in on the backside as Snoopy to try and get that fight started off, but they have so many tools to just barely get everyone out. Twig with so much movement, Deathwalker with the heals and the cleanse, and Snoopy, of course, the Scarab's Blessing. That's what's making it so tough, I feel like, for Juggernauts now that we're, as you said, starting to move into that mid game.
And it was a good job by Snoopy to take all of the focus of that fight at the beginning. He absorbs a lot of cooldowns in that spot, baits out Hurriwind's jump, is able to get him in a bad spot, and then just uses Scarab's Blessing to reposition. And Venenu, despite being behind, had a great team fight in that spot. It really did a ton of damage, picked up a ton of kills. He's now 3 and 4 and is caught up to Hurriwind very quickly.
And he can afford to play like this, Snoopy, I mean, because look at his build so far. He's got all the cooldown you can want. Max cooldown plus Chronos Pendant passive on top of that. The Scarab's Blessings are going to be out there all the time. The Rising Dawns are going to be out there as well to try and keep his team standing. I mean, this is not something that Snoopy just trying because he feels like it. I definitely see what he's going for here. But they got to make sure they're careful. Arkkyl and Scream still playing aggressive.
Red buff invades seem to still be the name of the game, and now Variety isn't going to be out-rotated this time. I mean, it's hard to out-rotate someone to their own red buff. I'm not trying to throw shade on them, but Deathwalker being there was a huge reason why Minotaurs win that fight in the first place, and now Variety's got to join up. And these next team fights are going to be much easier, I think, for Juggernauts, because this is kind of the ebb and flow of being a healer. It's in the early game, you aren't that strong because you don't have enough damage to make your heals be relevant. Then you get enough damage, and the enemy team doesn't have anti-heal yet, so you feel really, really good. But then the enemy team prioritizes their anti-heal. Divine Ruin, Brawler's Beatstick done for Hurriwind and Scream respectively, and now your heals dip down again, and they don't feel quite as impactful. And then in the real late game, you get to the point where that anti-heal doesn't really affect you that much. You're healing for so much out of combat that you don't even worry about why you're in combat healing quite as much, and you start to rise up again. So this is an opportunity for Juggernauts. This is where their anti-heal will be the strongest, so they should try and force fights now.
And I definitely get why they wanted so much to try and get Deathwalker in that last fight. You're right, unfortunately, they end up getting baited as PolarBearMike dashes underneath the tier 2 tower, perhaps misguided, but he's the only one on the side of Minotaurs that's ahead. CaptainTwig even a little bit behind Scream, only just making it over to level 12. So really, if they can remove him from the fights and they can get that hell out of there, not just because she's the healer, but because that's where the only lead for Minotaurs is. They're just in so much of a better spot. It's kind of worth that commitment. Gold Fury, though, should go to Juggernauts here for free. No one for Minotaurs around.
I like Arkkyl using his ultimate in that spot because it's such a low cooldown for Desert Fury. I mean, it's barely over a minute, so you've got plenty of time to get that back up and in the right spot for yourself for these next team fights. It's very easy for the Juggernauts to delay a team fight by 1 minute until Arkyl's ultimate is back up. And he's got beads in the meantime. Just getting that objective done is the most important thing.
PolarBearMike, Defenders of Olympus, just for the reposition. They drop the chains on him. I love this. That's going to pull PolarBearMike right back in. Deathwalker along with CaptainTwig waiting for him, and they bring down the Athena. Very nice play from this Ares.
That was nice, man. That's one of the most gratifying feelings, isn't it, as an Ares, when they're using their CC immunity, so that you get them as soon as the CC immunity ends, but also from across the map at that point. Really, really cool job.
Scream goes in aggressively with the Mystic Rush, but doesn't really land on the mark. Now it's Hurriwind, who's got everybody lined up for the Taiko drums. CaptainTwig falls first. Deathwalker's low, does get the heal up, but a double kill for Arkkyl on the On-Her. Sends them both back to base. PolarBearMike's death was not in vain as the rest of the squad gets 2 kills.
That was all Hurriwind, though,
Yes.
man. I mean, that Taiko drums is the dream scenario. That's exactly where Raijin wants to fight. The interrupt on the Twig's death bane into the damage from the remaining 3 shots. Beautiful.
Yeah. Now we're going to see Aror try and move in on a Scream, who might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew while the rest of the team does the FG. It's getting very low, so Juggernauts are going to be able to grab it, and they have a chance to get Venenu, who is all alone. Hurriwind falls, though, in return. Snoopy got good damage. Scream gets Aror. Now Snoopy in some trouble. Arkkyl finding another double kill. That's 4 for him in this fight.
That upgraded Sunder just made Arkkyl's auto hit for 350. 350! It's 17 minutes. He doesn't have crit. He just hit him for 350.
Feeling pretty good.
Sunder's broke, dude. My goodness.
Certainly if you're PolarBearMike.
Yeah, I guess so, man. I mean, on her passive on top, it's really that increased damage taken by 20%. That's the real reason that you see this item at all, let alone upgraded. But the base version is fine. It's good. It off Athena taunts to really burst someone. It's okay. But really, once you upgrade it, it starts to become a really, really solidified item that can really be a viable strategy as a whole team composition. Building your team around, you know, buying Sunder early on, as much as I'm sure Rival doesn't want to hear about it because, you know, Kalas wants to get it every game, I think it can be a really viable strategy.
Yeah, you're already very likely building around the Athena taunt anyway, right? So this is just further synergy into that strategy. And you talked about how already this is going to be Juggernauts' time to fight because their anti-heal was going to be at its strongest. I mean, they've got that upgraded Cursed Ankh now as well. Things are only going to get more problematic for these next few minutes or so for Minotaurs. They've got to hold on and try and get to the point where they can overcome sort of this anti-heal spike that's coming out from Juggernauts and regroup. But they've done a great job recognizing this is where they're strongest. Hurriwind had the great Taiko drums. Arkkyl is hitting everything. And now Minotaurs are in some trouble.
Well, it's also that these are a lot of power spike items that Juggernaut just got. Forget the Fire Giant buff, because it's really good at this point, but I'd honestly rather have a finished chin size for Arkkyl, which is completely, you know, he had nothing after Executioner during that last fight. Hurriwind gets a Book of the Dead, so he gets more damage and a ton more survivability. If you take a look at, if we take a look at Hurriwind's mana pool right now, it's probably really high because of the Book of Thoth that he picked up.
Right.
And then he's gonna get 2,100. He gets that at 20% health shield. He gets a 400 shield whenever he goes below 40%. That's absurd.
Minotaurs look like they want to try and make the defense on this Tier 2 tower. They can't afford to give up any more gold. They're down about 8,000 now, which is right on the precipice of a lead that it's really hard to come back from. So they're trying to slow down Juggernauts here. Twig is waiting on the right-hand side as well to see if he can find a target. And nice poke goes out onto Arkkyl.
Yeah, Arkkyl decided not to jump away after the root, which is a little bit curious because he took an extra chunk of health for that. And there's not a lot of good engage that could have got onto him from that spot with his jump being down. Sure, CaptainTwig's there, but he can get on top of you whether you have jump or not. It's not really that big of a resource. He'll be able to heal up off this minion wave, so it's not the end of the world by any stretch, but a little bit weird.
Scream does break off from the group and find the Tier 1 tower in solo, which is nice as Minotaurs have sort of stalemated the Juggernauts push here in the mid lane. They have all that sustain from this hell. They have a ton of control as well. That's kind of deterring Juggernaut, I feel like, from moving into it. But now they have the 4v4 with Scream on the right, but they're rotating back in. They're ready to fight now. Snoopy gets pushed in, has to drop Scared Blessing on himself. Cursed Ankh comes out as well, so Arkkyl gets big damage, and Hurriwind drops the Taiko drums, but Scream dunks everyone with the Mystic Rush and turns the whole fight around. Everyone has to run away.
Everyone's dead from the Minotaurs. You mean Deathwalker, the only one left standing. Scream has had a great game, man. He was top of the player damage the whole game, and a 3-man Mystic Rush is just absolutely absurd. It's all started by great poke by Hurriwind and by Arkkyl. Snoopy just gets decimated with this ADC Kep rebuild, and Hurriwind gets another good Taiko drums, but man, Scream makes sure that this fight gets put home with an exclamation point.
Yeah, I think this might be enough for them to just win this game. Aror is up now. Snoopy should be up here in a few seconds as well. Titan is at about half HP. Variety gets pulled in. Titan now below a quarter. They should have enough damage to get it done. Juggernauts gonna take game one in a very convincing fashion there. I feel like from about the 13-minute on point, they just were in control.
Man, only 21 minutes, and they made it look pretty easy. Turns out ADC, the Ares Khepri duo lane doesn't seem too good at this point, huh?
No, not too bad, huh? I mean, I don't know. Able to make some things happen, but not able to get the whole win. I like the build that he was trying to go with, but unfortunately it made him a little bit too easy of a target. Had to scare his blessing himself, I think, a little bit too often, which wasn't the way that they wanted that to go, and they never really got a chance for, I think, Deathwalker to get all the way online and play around that hell either, and that kind of hurt too.
I mean, Deathwalker did a lot in the one fight that he joined, but that's before the anti-heal came out, and then it was kind of hand over fist after that for the Juggernauts. Venenu in the mid lane on that Artemis had a rough early game, had one really good fight, was able to turn it around, but still just didn't have the same impact as that big mage damage coming from Hurriwind.
Yes.
This is our first chance to look at new Book of Thoth, which is much more about stacking it instead of just buying it and not really worrying about the stacks. Looked pretty good to me. I mean, Hurriwind was doing an absolute ton of damage in that mid game. I mean, as soon as he finished stacking that Book of Thoth, he was doing a ton of damage with Taiko drums, with Raiju and Percussive Storm.
Yes.
And then once he gets Book of the Dead, he's very, very safe.
They played so well as a team. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to go, well, who am I going to highlight for it? I'm going, well, PBM, I mean, the taunts, the sunders, that was so huge. I mean, but Arkkyl had like 3 double kills in a row at one point, but only because of Hurriwind's Taiko drums. I mean, they just chained everything together so well. Their team fight was nice.
Yeah, I really feel like Screammmmm as well. I mean, he was doing so much player damage. Of course, the 3-man Mystic Rush at the end of the game, which really ends the game by itself, more or less. I don't know. Take your pick, except for Baraya. He didn't really do it.
Yeah, you know, maybe not a whole lot. But I'm right there with you. I mean, that Mystic Rush, I mean, they're certainly winning the fight, whether or not that happens, but I think that turns it from a win fight into the game is over now type of play. So if you want to give Screammmmm the MVP just off that one, I'm with you. But I mean, Hurriwind definitely sticks out to me. Those Taiko drums were excellent as well.
Yeah.
Or PBM. I mean, I know y'all think we don't give enough credit to those supports. He had an excellent game.
He did. He definitely did. Was able to secure a couple kills, the Defender of Olympus, the Sunder, the taunts, you know, all that kind of stuff. And Arkkyl, as well, as you mentioned, had a pretty solid game on the On-Her. First time for him to come back to land since the spring, so excited to see him have a good performance as well.
Can I vote for Aror just because of the Ares pull on the Athena that pulled?
Probably not.
After the Defender of Olympus?
You'd have to ask the person making the poll.
That play made me real happy.
I'm sure it did. I don't think it was MVP worthy.
Okay, fine. All right, I won't bring it up again.
I mean, you asked. It wasn't me.
It was MVP worthy. Ryan's just wrong on this. We'll get it back over to the desk, though. Get their thoughts on it. MVP worthy. They'll tell you.
I don't know. Was it MVP worthy? Not really my case to answer. All I know is that I watched the draft. I actually missed the Khepri ADC during the picks and bans.
I think we all missed the Khepri ADC in the picks and bans. Don't worry about that one.
Because why would you play Khepri ADC? And, you know, I think what this was the picks and bans came out, and all the pros had said that they were going to be playing real Smite. That they were like, all right, look, you know, we're gonna play real Smite. We're gonna have fun. You know, we're not gonna like tear our ACL, but we're gonna be playing real Smite. And I think that one team here was like, how real is real? And decided to give Khepri over to Snoopy. And the other team just went, yeah, we're just gonna play the game.
Yeah, Snoopy not taking the same stance as Arkkyl with the whole being able to clear the lane level 1. But I do respect the commitment out of this Khepri Ares duo lane. It actually worked out incredibly well for Aror, I would say. And had they had a real established hunter for Snoopy, I think that this game could have been a little bit different or gone a little bit differently. But as it currently stands, the Khepri just not able to really keep up in terms of the experience and farm, and it started just bringing in a whole level of trickle-down effects that started making changes happen all across the map, in that Minotaurs were not able to hold onto a whole lot of map pressure. They were constantly getting forced out of their buffs, constantly getting forced out of choke points that they wanted to try and contest on objectives, and it just became a very... All the bad things that could have possibly happened to Minotaurs definitely took place in this game.
Yeah, they definitely just rolled a bunch of snake eyes here. Who were they arguing before about who should get MVP? Finch and Ryan?
Ares for the Athena play.
Oh, yeah.
Aror, technically. I think that'd be...
Nope, it's Scream. Good job, buddy. In the jungle on the Robin. The new assassin, by the way, recently changed in the mid-season patch to become more assassin-like. Some of his abilities tweaked and his base stats tweaked, but the gameplay for Scream still the same, if not even better.
And then Scream
not there.
made sure to close the distance with that blink play so he could place his ultimate perfectly. Got to get the Mystic Rush straight into the T2 tower. Look at the burst damage that ensues right after the fact. The blink was 100% planned.
Yeah, no, you know what? I will take that giggle back. I will take that giggle back. And, I thought he blinked into the wall on accident. But in retrospect, no accidents for Scream. Everything on purpose.
I feel like that
eUnited
sounded like a
Juggler.
massive meme. That explanation, like all of it just sounded like I was kidding.
It
and
totally
I was being
did.
100%
Yeah.
serious.
It really did. Because I'm listening to you and I'm watching it. I'm like, I don't know if she's trolling, but that's what happened. Like, I made fun of it because it looked like but that was his game plan. Scream one step ahead of us all the time right here. This guy's glow up has been real. You know, starting under different names a couple of years ago, watching him sort of grow, and now becoming, you know, the jungler he is today here in 2018 is really fun.
Speechless but we're gonna let it ride. We're gonna just let that one slide. People can't see what I get to see. That's the best part about it all. And
So production just told us that Mask is banned from this tournament.
okay,
Mask, no mask allowed.
that's reasonable.
I mean Bumba's mask and Lono's mask and all that stuff. Not Trifecta's jungler.
No, that's heat. In case you weren't.
Stop! Stop it! Stop! No! Do not encourage this! No. So first of all, no, absolutely not. First of all, this is not allowed flat out. He is not Heat. He is Mask for the remainder of the season. He's not allowed to change his name in between splits. That's not a thing. No, he's not allowed to do that. Players are not allowed to change their name in between splits. They're allowed to do it at the end of the year. And if he does so, I will roast him. Keep your name. Why change the name? People know you under one name for how long? And you're like, oh, I want to change my name. Clout. It's just the wrong thing to do.
But he's bringing the heat to the Pro League. Free smoke.
Get out. Just get out. Can I trade you for Finch or
It's Sunday
Echo?
Fun Day. Are you
my-
kidding with me right now?
No, he's not bringing the heat. He's not here.
Well, that's not what I was trying to discuss, though. I mean, it happens. It happens, Chad.
Heat. How many T's?
I don't know. It's got to be at least 5, though, because if he's not matching Screammmmm, it just feels like a waste.